We're standing now in the last gallery of the Robert H. and Ho Family Foundation Gallery's Buddhist art. This gallery is about the Buddha image in Asia, its transmission from its origins in India and Pakistan all around Asia. So my first object is just here on our left. Early Buddhist art didn't show images of the Buddha himself. Instead, he was represented by symbols. And most scholars believe this to have been an aniconic phase of Buddhist art. There are other views about this, but this is the prevailing view. In this image here, we can see the empty throne representing the Buddha. You can see the worshippers carrying fly whisks, which show the great sacred status of the Buddha, coming to admire the couch. In the center of the couch is this circular object. Opinions vary about what this might be. One of the plausible ideas is that it represents a solar disk and therefore the radiance of the Buddha. There are lovely details in this sculpture. The winged lions on the capitals, the folds of the drapery at the bottom of the throne, the representation of a fence or railing or vedika, and the little arches, part of the architecture below them. The piece is in this red sandstone with this mottled white colour, which shows that it comes from Mathura in northern India, which is one of the most important centres of Buddhist art in its early phase. So now I'm going to look at the sculpture of the Buddha himself from Mathura. The Buddha image came to be used in around the 1st century of the Common Era, and it began in Mathura in northern India and in Gandhara in modern-day northwest Pakistan. So we have here an image of the Buddha from Mathura, again in this spotted red sandstone that's so characteristic of the area. And it's an image of the Buddha, sadly headless, it's lost its arms, but still a very powerful piece of sculpture. And in a sense, we can get that sense of the swelling volumes of the chest, the sense of the breath, prana of the figure, the swelling retuberances of that great, powerful physiognomy, and the way that the Buddha was represented in this early Mathuran art. And this reflects the fact partly that the earliest images of the Buddha in Mathura were very much influenced by images of nature spirits, the yaksha, and there were huge statues in stone of these very powerful deities. And these had an influence on the way that the earliest images of the Buddha depicted him. Now, this is not one of the very earliest carvings of the Buddha from Mathura. It's a little bit later. You can see that the robe covers both the shoulders of the Buddha, whereas the earliest images show the one shoulder bare. But it's very distinctively Mathura. It belongs probably to the first half of the 3rd century of the Common Era, so it's between about 200 and 250 CE. Distinctive features of this Mathuran style include a way that these robes have the folds which run in parallel with each other. So a very simple but powerful approach to expressing the drapery of the Buddha. Then there's a twist with these elegant little ends of the drapery at the end here. Not that different from the image we saw of the Buddha sitting to throne next to it. So the Buddha is sitting here cross-legged in meditation, but his hands, although missing, we can make a good guess about what postures they would have been in. So this hand would probably have held the end of his monk's robe, his sangati. This hand, slightly raised, would probably have been raised in the posture of Maya Mudra. In Mudra, hand gesture, which signifies freedom from fear, mere short. So a really impressive, a powerful image of the Buddha from early 3rd century Mathura, one of the origins of the Buddha image. But the other place of origin of the Buddha image is Gandhara. And next to this, we have an image of the Buddha from Gandhara. A little bit later, perhaps dating from perhaps 200 to 400 CE. And you can see the very different style with which it is carved. So the Mathuran image is in this red spotted sandstone. The Gandharan image, absolutely typical for the Gandharan stone sculpture, it's carved in this beautiful grey schist. And the features are very different. If we look at the drapery of the robe, we could see the way that Gandharan sculptors drew on classical Greek and Roman art in the very naturalistic way, the subtle details of the folds of the robe in which the Buddha is wearing, and the way that the swags of the fold hang down beneath his arms, beneath his hands. His face, too, is quite naturalistically carved, but in the idealized way that we see in Gandhara, which makes it quite different from Greek and Roman sculpture. You can see the beautiful arch of the eyebrows, the elongated eyes, this idealized image. And also, in this image, the snail curls of his hair. Most Gandharan sculpture is represented with the Buddha having wavy hair, like the Maitreya Bodhisattva image we saw, for example, but sometimes hair curls are seen as well. And of course, he has the typical features of the Buddha. He has the raised Ushnisha on his head. He has the Urna in the center of his forehead. He has the elongated earlobes. And he also has a great nimbus or halo carved in plain stone behind him. And he's sitting with his hands clasped in the Dhyana Mudra, the meditation posture. So a very beautiful image of the Buddha in meditation. And then in the scene below him, underneath he's sitting on a low stool with these beautifully carved legs, with swags of drapery on either side. In the center is another image of a Buddha being worshipped. But this time, he's represented with princely clothing, with a turban and royal rather than monastic robes. And this probably means it's an image of the Buddha as a bodhisattva. In other words, before he became enlightened, before he achieved his enlightenment and became the Buddha. But there are figures coming to worship him on either side, and two attendants with flags supporting him. Another interesting feature about the sculpture is that schist is a laminar. It comes in planes, and often the Gandharan sculpture is very shallow in relief. So when you look at the side of it, you see that actually it's carved within quite a shallow plane. They're very beautifully done to evoke the three-dimensionality of the sculpture. So you can see already the ways that these images start with an iconic imagery of the Buddha, then images of the Buddha himself, both in Mathura and Gandhara. And this gallery of the Buddha image in Asia enables us to show the way that the image of the Buddha spread from its origins in India and Pakistan all around Asia, to China, Japan, Thailand, Cambodia, etc. First, I'm going to look at one more image from Pakistan, so again within South Asia. And here we see a terracotta image of the Buddha with a lot of polychrome. Again, he's sitting, meditating, and this would be a sculpture from the base of a stupa, so a very large stupa at a place called Mirpur Khas in Pakistan. The figure is surrounded by this decorated frame, and he has this wonderful halo with these flowers. But if you look at the features of the Buddha, it has this very gentle, introspective, meditative quality. And this is reflecting the influences of the Gupta dynasty, which arrived in about 320 CE in India. So the images, unlike the very naturalistic images of Gandhara, with that quite kind of muscular modeling of the torso, the Gupta images become much more gentle and spiritual. And it's really this image of the Buddha which has so much influence to spread around Asia. So, for example, next door we have a wonderful image from the Northern Qi dynasty of China. And if you look at certain iconographic similarities, such as the beautifully carved halo, of course it's made in an instinctively Chinese style. But you can see from images like this, the way that the Buddha image spread, and its iconography and style spread around Asia. So all around this gallery, there are numerous examples of this amazing spread, take us even into the 19th and 20th century. And we see in this gallery, I think, the amazingly cosmopolitan nature of the Buddha image, and its essential sameness of its essence, despite the many different stylistic forms which are developed in different regions and at different dates, and the very iconography, the different postures, the different mudras or hand gestures, but still, I think, in a way, expressing the same essence. So this gallery, the Buddha image in Asia, is a wonderful opportunity to the museum to be able to show the public the wonderful development of the Buddha image over a period of 2,000 years.